Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Shikishima. I want to take a look at a lot of these resource-based premiums. We of course looked a little bit at Borgone the other day, and it really spiked my interest in the steel battleships in particular. So we're going to go through them. Shikishima to start, because I had a perfect Shikishima game. And not because it's good, but because I think it shows why I do not like this ship at all. I think this is probably the worst pickup you could possibly have if you're going for a steel battleship. I think easily this is the worst one out of all of them. And that really isn't because it's the worst battleship in the game. It can perform quite well. In fact, we're going to have a lot of damage in this game, but it's going to go right to the end. This is a very, very long match. The reasons that I don't like Shikishima really start with it not being all that different from a Yamato. So why are you spending all this steel, all that time, very difficult resource to gain, for a ship that plays exactly the same as a Yamato? Sure, it's got bigger guns and a faster reload, and essentially a baked-in legendary upgrade on the Yamato, where the dispersion is just applied already from that legendary upgrade. The problem is 6 guns. 6-gun battleships are notoriously inconsistent, and combined with Japanese dispersion, you can have salvos like that one into the St. Louis, where we hit all 4 shells out of our front turrets, or you can have the salvos that you're going to see throughout this video. It gets rough. It certainly gets rough in this game. So, in my mind, the guns are actually worse than the Yamato, just based on my experience playing these two ships. Of course, you do have some other benefits. The Shikishima does have pretty strong AA, decent secondaries. Of course, not accurate secondaries, but they are a little bit better. St. Louis showing us how to just bow tank as a cruiser in the open water. This guy's gonna live a long time, by the way, so I do want to point that out. We're gonna struggle to kill him, even though Shikishima should just nuke this guy for free, sitting out in the open like this. I think the other main selling point of the Shikishima is actually the gun sounds. You've probably been hearing them and enjoying them, certainly throughout this video so far. But that can be had with the Satsuma. You can just get the super ship version that has one more turret, and of course that really powerful combat instructions, where you have that one extremely accurate salvo. So I think a lot of the uniqueness that Shikishima might have had, just gone because Satsuma's in the game now. Pretty nice salvo there. Certainly feels pretty good there, 70k now. But what if I told you 7 minutes from now, in-game timer, I'm not even going to have 100k. Would you believe me? Mogami going broadside for another round. Let's see. Would you believe me? Honestly, in this situation, I probably wouldn't even believe myself if I hadn't played this game. We're playing very passive too, of course. I should note that. Unfortunate dispersion there on the Mogami. Shells land short, dispersion bugs, all that stuff applies to Shikishima, but it applies to every ship in the game. Unfortunately, it does impact battleships a little more because of that long reload and that desire for high alpha damage, where we have to hit citadels, which is probably the smallest part of the ship. If we're just spamming HE out of a cruiser, not only do we have a very fast reload to deal with aim bugs, where if one salvo lands short, there's probably another one coming within 5 to 10 seconds, so it's not as big a deal. And the other thing is, as an HE spamming ship, we're just looking to hit almost anywhere on the ship. Let's be honest. You hit anywhere on the ship, you have a chance to light a fire, and you're going to do damage. Where battleships have the worst dispersion in the game, and need to hit the smallest part of the ship, it's not a great combo. So very, very difficult to deal with these aim bugs on this class in particular. And that's before we even just get to the randomness of the salvos in general. Just the aim bugs being so impactful, unfortunately. But we're playing so passive because Shikishima has another main weakness, and that's its hull. This ship has one of the oldest hulls in the game. The ship design here from Yamato, just copied straight over. We have a massive citadel, very weak to armor piercing at closer ranges at nearly any angle. You can't fire all of your guns at closer ranges against an enemy battleship without exposing the cheek of the citadel on the Shikishima, which is pretty big. It's really a major weak point of this ship. And if you're broadside at longer ranges, you're probably going to shatter a lot of the AP coming in for you. But there's some pretty nasty ships out there these days with some pretty high pen, especially as we get into fighting some super ships. So you do have to worry about that as well. Not only that, but you have an upper belt of 32 millimeters, which means a lot of smaller caliber HE is going to pen, and small caliber AP as well. So from ships like, say, I guess in this game, Lucian would be an example. If I just showed broadside to a Lucian at 10 to 13 kilometers, he would just tear my ship apart with the AP into the upper belt, where a lot of other battleships at this tier are already getting a little better upper belts. Even things like Montana with like 38, it's a lot better. Unfortunately, we are missing some salvos here. Salem, I thought, was going to stay a little more bow into me here. And that St. Louis, who I'm struggling to kill, I thought he was going to turn out. I assumed he wouldn't just stay flat broadside there for that earlier salvo. So it's not like I'm aiming perfectly in this video, but I do just want to show this video in particular because it's just such a perfect example of what Shikishima is all about, I think. It can do the monster damage. When the shells hit, they are insane, but oftentimes they don't actually hit all that well. Bounce on a bow in St. Louis, showing us all exactly what you need to do in a bottom tier cruiser, or mid tier, I guess. This isn't a super ship game, but a St. Louis, open water like that, bow in to a Shikishima. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of you in the comments who are watching this video would be, anytime I try that in my St. Louis, I just explode, right? I can bet you're thinking that yourself. I would be thinking that too. 3 full pens for 11k. That's all right. Decent damage, certainly, but 3 full pens probably should be doing around 15k in this ship, or maybe more. So one of those was just a pen into maybe his turret? I don't know. Didn't do damage, I guess. Here we are, coming up on 10 minutes left on the in-game timer, and we still don't have 100k damage. Like I said, it's rough. I'm going to have a rough patch in the middle of this game where I'm just not going to do much damage to people. And looking back on it, I probably should have just gone over to the other flank. This flank here is mainly filled with DDs and what I thought was an easy kill on a St. Louis, and then maybe going to fight this Jean Bart over here, which also should be an easy kill because we overmatch everything, turned into no damage for me. In hindsight, if I knew I was just going to aim poorly or just have poor dispersion, then I probably would have gone to the other side. There's much more targets there, certainly, but I couldn't have known that, I guess. Here comes a Thunderer. Perfect opportunity to show off the 32 millimeters of Overmatch. That is the power of these guns, and any gun above 457s, really. I guess not including 457s. So 460s and up, all Overmatch 32 millimeters of armor, which is a pretty common armor value in a lot of battleships at these higher tiers. That's why you want to get your HE shells up over 32 millimeters of pen at higher tier if you can. And you also do want to have AP like that, because then we can fire at Thunderers at closer ranges like this, 14 kilometers, and do 0 damage to them still, because dispersion. I was not having a good time while playing this game. Looking back, it's kind of funny. In the moment, though, I was not having a good time. I'll be honest with you guys. Let's go again on this Thunderer here. Now we get the dispersion, and unfortunately, it seems like I aimed slightly too far to the left. Or the dispersion went a little left on that one, too. I don't know. It's rough playing a Shikishima. And not only that, you spent so much steel, man. You spent so much steel on a ship that plays like a Yamato, which it's in itself is not amazing to play these days. It doesn't have those features like I was talking about in the Bourgogne video. You need some sort of overpowered gimmick advantage in 2024 World of Warships, all right? You can't just be a standard ship. You need something that makes your ship a little bit busted. And Shikishima's version of that is fast reloading 32 mil Overmatch. But if we're not able to actually hit anything, that gimmick is worthless. And because of that, we have a lot of other weaknesses. This hull is massive weakness. It is not fun to play with this hull. And I haven't even mentioned the turret traverse on this ship. It's abysmal. It is a joke how bad the turret traverse is on these battleships. We have things with way higher caliber than this with much better turret traverse in some of these super ships, I guess. But not only that, the 457s on Ohio, I think, is a great example. When you fully build them for turret traverse, it's like a 25 or 23 second turret traverse. Like, what? How come these like have, I think it's like a 69 second turret traverse base or something like that? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Very difficult to use. And that means you're not very flexible at turning your guns and adapting to the situation in front of you. You notice a lot of the time when I'm switching targets here in this game, I'm using my rudder. I'm actually just physically turning my ship to actually change targets. I'm not turning my guns. I'm not staying angled like I probably should. Jean Bart's going to punish us here a little bit for that, but I actually have to do that because our turret traverse is just that bad. And we should smash this Jean Bart, to be honest with you. Overmatch, it should be lights out for this guy. Bow in like this. This is not how you want to play a Jean Bart against a Shikishima or anything with 32 mil overmatch. And it's going to take us a little bit to deal with him. But hey, we're up to 143, right? That's a decent game, Charlie. Charlie, that's decent. Didn't make it less frustrating, but I guess we are slowly acquiring damage now. Fortunately, this game was not one of those 5 minutes and it's over type of games, because then we would have had absolutely abysmal damage. This one, we really needed to get that full 20-minute game to actually get anywhere. Now, this video has a lot of complaining, let's say. I am not very happy about this performance out of the Shikishima, and I don't think you should get this ship. But that said, I think if you buffed the dispersion on this ship, it would instantly become overpowered, right? If we are getting those pinpoint accurate salvos with 32 mil overmatch, with the 19,000 alpha damage that these guns have, it would be overpowered instantly. It wouldn't be fun to fight against. It already probably isn't very fun to fight against. Overmatch is not a fun mechanic. But here's the problem. We need overmatch because of salvos like this. Look at that. That is a broadside Jean Bart that took 0 damage. This ship relies on overmatch. If people go broadside to you and they happen to have a citadel, like that tier 9 battleship earlier on in this game, there's potential for major salvos here. But most ships in this game are designed to actually not really just have a citadel anymore. I think the easy one to pick on is St. Vincent, but let's do it again. St. Vincent, it does not have a hittable citadel. It is insanely difficult to hit that citadel. So then we're just left with overmatch. That's all we're left with here. And that's not very fun. So suddenly we're just in a situation where I'm doing 0 damage to most broadsides, and then I'm relying on dealing damage to people who are angling, which I would consider playing properly. That's probably how you should deal with larger caliber battleship guns coming at you, and then you take a massive hit that way. It sucks. It just sucks. And I think that's the biggest issue here, is there is no winning with a ship like this, with 6 guns, a fast reload, and insane overmatch. Either you make this ship OP, and it's miserable to fight against, and everybody else has a bad time because this ship overmatches you, you cannot angle, no matter what. If this ship looks at you, you take 1 billion damage. Or you give it really, really crap dispersion and make it so that this ship really rarely does much damage to people. And then the person playing it feels like all they're doing is rolling dice, with all the weaknesses I've already talked about with a Yamato hull. And that's really why I think this ship is not a good one to pick up. It really starts with that just lack of anything unique on this ship anymore, specifically because Satsuma is in the game now. I could understand getting this ship just for the gun sounds alone. They sound amazing. They're super cool, don't get me wrong. But Satsuma, you can get that one for free-ish. I mean, this is technically free too. You can't just buy it with money, but steel's pretty hard to get, where grinding through and getting yourself a super ship, it's a little more doable for most players, I think. It'll take a lot of time too, don't get me wrong, but it's a little more doable, I think. And that will get you a better version of these nice sounding guns. So to me, Shikishima is the worst of the steel battleships to get. And that's because its performance is pretty bad here, I think, as well as just not being very unique. But again, I am a bit of a hater of 6-gun battleships. 6-gun ships in general in this game, to be honest with you. Some cruisers with 6 guns, really not a fan. And there you go, we hit like 1 shell into this buffalo and half his health is gone, just like that. It's too random. It's too random. Like that, like sure, he was kind of broadside there, but look at this one. Watch this salvo in particular. Look where these shells land. To me, they land off to the right of his ship. To me, those pretty much missed his ship. And we got a citadel, and he's like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating from both sides, okay? It's frustrating to play, and it's frustrating to play against. And I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Shikishima. Even watching this back, I'm getting more frustrated at the game. I'm not even playing it. I'm just sitting here recording this in my room. Got my coffee here, enjoying my morning. It's a sunny day. I don't know. You get the picture, I hope. I've kind of rambled in this one, but it's a long game. I had to show you the whole thing to really give you a clear picture of this one, I think. And maybe the really funny part of this is, after all that complaining and frustration that I've had with this ship, we still got like 237,000 damage, which is a pretty good game. Let's be honest. That's a good game. Damage-wise, I think the individual salvos, though, paint a little different picture. So, Shikishima, not recommended for me. I will try to go through the rest of these. We looked at Bourgogne a little bit, but I have been trying to play these ships in particular a lot more. You'll have to let me know in the comments which ones you want me to take a look at next, whether it's steel cruisers, steel DDs. We could also look at things for coal battleships, coal cruisers, coal DDs, Research Bureau as well, I suppose. I'd like to go through some of those and see which ones fare the best in 2024 here, and then I'll give you my recommendations after I've gone through the batch. And so far, that's we're starting with the battleships for steel, I think. The build here is very standard, I think. We are taking prop mod here just to try and give us a little more maneuverability. Ability to dodge here and there is quite nice with our throttle in particular. I'm also just taking basic survivability. Again, that rule of 2 out of the 3 I try to use. It's not really a rule, it's just kind of something I've come up with. Diminishing returns as you take more of these fire reduction skills. I guess they're all percentage based, right? So we're taking basics here. We're taking the flag. So then if we were to also take damage control system mod 2, it kind of reduces the value of 15% as we get more percentage based, right? So going with prop mod, I think will save me a little more health. I could be wrong with that. But this is the build for a very standard battleship build. Very, very standard battleship build. The default, I guess I would say. I certainly would be tempted to try running it with Furious. Even heavy AP is hilarious. You get well up over 20,000 alpha damage, but it's really not fixing the problem of just the horrific RNG that you have to deal with here, on top of just general aiming bugs. 6-gun battleships, man. It's painful. It's really, really painful. If you haven't seen a Yamato before, you know, the armor looks pretty decent, but look at this, 32, man. It's just gigantic. And this is all Citadel. This is wild. For today's game, this is unheard of, really. That is just not what happens typically. And then you can see this angled cheek here. It's very, very easy to hit at closer ranges as well as here. You don't even have to overmatch 32 mil of armor. Just the way this plate is angled on the outside here. If you're firing your rear gun, any battleship will smash you here. Any of them. It doesn't matter what caliber the guns are. A lot of heavy cruisers will as well. Battle cruisers for sure as well. So it's not one you want to play up close for that reason, but also this turret traverse, man. Like 55 seconds. Ridiculous. Okay, I've probably talked enough about how bad this ship is. This might be your favorite ship. You might love to play it. And don't let me stop you from having fun, okay? This is more meant to tell you why this ship is going to look at the worst position as a steel ship in the future here. I'll probably put them in some sort of ranking 1 to 5. And this one will definitely take the 5th spot. Even over Incomparable. And we'll see how that one goes. I need to play it a few more times just to get a feel for it again today. But if nothing else, this ship has much better concealment, much quicker to reposition, even though it still has the same 6 guns, high caliber, random RNG struggles. It's also unique. Those things alone, I think, are going to bring it up above something like the Shikishima. So there you go. Look forward to that. We got a few more videos on the steel battleships here to go in 2024. And this one was the Shikishima. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.